Hello, welcome back to Blood Bowl. This was my season 2 9th match against Shishnavni's Undead Poets Society, who, as you will have seen from the additional little video clip added to the intro, were at this point at the top of the league table, having just lost their first match, had their first loss. Obviously it wasn't their first match of the season. Just had their first loss, as it happens, against the Murder Hobos, who of course I beat fairly convincingly in my last game that I made a video of, which obviously made me a bit more confident coming into this game than I otherwise would have been. Maybe too confident, I don't know. Of course he's playing as Undead, which, I've got to say, I'm personally not overly fond of the generic Undead team. I believe, although I'm not certain, that when the Necromantic and Khemri teams were added to the game, I think they were supposed to replace the generic Undead team with those two more specific ones. But there was an outcry from people who preferred, or well, maybe not preferred, but still liked the generic Undead team, and so we kept all three. I mean, I guess it just kind of bothers me a bit that I feel like the generic Undead have too much going for them. With having 2 strength 5 mummies and a bunch of other useful stuff. Regardless, we head into this match, and apparently I can't decide where I want to kick. Oh yeah, I said at the end of my last video that hopefully the next game I made a video of would be less one-sided. Given that I decided to not to make a video of any of the intervening games and to come straight to this one, that was definitely true. I mean, I suppose the fact that the mummies don't have general access, they can only take strength skills unless you roll a double, and therefore they can't take block, is a bit of a mitigating factor, like with big guys, which... But, I mean, that's kind of the thing. They're effectively big guys, and you have 2 of them, but they don't have a nega trait. Whereas most teams can have 1 big guy, they can have 1 ogre, or 1 troll, or whatever else. And then ogre teams, of course, can have up to 6 ogres, but those ogres all have the bonehead nega trait, and their other players are snotlings with strength 1 and armor 5 and stunty, so they are very breakable. And then, of course, the Khemri team can have up to 4 Tomb Guardians, which are pretty much mummies. But the rest of their team is all agility 2, so they have a lot of power for hitting people, but their ball skills are less. Regardless, I'll stop kind of talking about my untrained opinions on the balance of the different teams, and get to this game. Now, because he has all that strength in the mummies and some other strong players with, well, not strong, but good fighting players, and he's got a decent amount of block around the team. Obviously, this is a difficult cage to crack. I know that by the time I came to play him next, I realised that really what I wanted to be doing was trying to split up his team. I think he has a decent amount of guard as well. I know he did by the time I played him again, but he probably has a certain amount of it already at this point. One point which I seem to recall is I think I was possibly too scared of mummies at this point, because they're strong, but, I mean, my vampire's a strength 4, so with 2 assists I can get 2 dice on a mummy. Or I could take the 2 dice opponent's choice, because that's not actually too big a risk if you have block and they don't. It's still not necessarily a priority, because I mean they're armor 9, so it's not likely that I'll get rid of them. And I mean, 2 dice opponent's choice, it's, you don't have, the odds are not great. 8 of you knocking yourself over is the thing. You stand a decent chance of not getting an attacker down, and therefore being alright. But yes, Frenzy forcing me to follow up on the mummy. Should possibly dodge away there. But maybe I was trusting to the block. But the thing is that a lot of the time you'll, from 2 dice bonus choice blocks or blitzes, you'll just get pushes anyway. Nice. Hypnotize the mummy. It's a reasonable approach, of course, but I mean, well, in the present day, moving forwards, we're currently in season 4 of this league, and we're all using different teams now. Shishnafni is now playing with vampires, and I feel like he possibly makes better use of hypnotic gaze than I did at this point. Certainly, I've noticed making these videos that an issue I sometimes have is I'll hypnotize a player because I figure I'm marking them, I may as well, and that's certainly true, but then it doesn't necessarily help. Because often I'll hypnotize as, like, an end thing, whereas, like, the point at which you are guaranteed to get a benefit out of someone being hypnotized is during the turn that you do it, because they can't do anything to get their tackle zone back until they have a turn. Whereas on the other hand, once they have got their turn, they can just do something, and sometimes it can still be useful that they don't immediately have their tackle zone. But, like, you hypnotize a mummy, well, that mummy probably didn't want to do anything other than hit you back. Not hit you back, you didn't hit it, you hypnotized it. But that mummy probably didn't want to do anything other than hit you anyway, so you haven't actually caused it any problems, unless while it was hypnotized you took that opportunity to run gaily past it into the enemy team, which of course I didn't do. Yeah, I suppose because this is the other thing. I hate to miss an opportunity to hit something, so when it's standing next to me, so I will go for the mummy. The issue, yeah, and I suppose like it's not too unreasonable since this is also lining me up in front of the cage, and I think I figured follow up because then it's more difficult for the mummy to get a favourable blitz if it just stands up and blitzes, which is not overly likely actually, given that mummies are only movement 3, uses all 3 of that movement just to stand up. But as I said, armor 9. So, no injury, it just sits there. Well, lies there. And then, next turn, I'll stand up, and then I'll have to deal with it again. At least, there are only 2 players that are like that. I really have issues with dwarves where that's like the entire team does that. Yeah, nothing comes with that blitz. Now I would like to at this point highlight something which I think was a mistake on my part, which is where I've put Sir Conrad. Now, it certainly can be useful to have a player kind of come around behind the enemy cage, so that they have to keep defences around on all sides, but on the other hand it can backfire, because then you split up your team so you have less defences in front of the cage and it just moves forwards and leaves your guy behind. In particular, okay, that's nice, he's using up his rerolls at least. Yes, and knocked out. Maybe tried. In particular, sending a vampire around the back of the cage is a bit of a questionable play because of bloodlust. I mean, you know, it's only a 2+ I need to roll, but still, that's an extra risk that and I don't have an easy way to get thralls around there. And of course, in the meantime, as I kind of said, you know, he can just move his cage forwards as he is doing. Whereas if I brought Sir Conrad round, you know, back in front of the cage, then he probably still could have come to about where he is. But also, I suppose I didn't need to commit all the players I did to hitting the mummy. That was the other thing. So yeah, my issues with the mummy are mixed between not wanting to pass up an opportunity to hit it, but also being kind of scared of it. And now Sir Conrad is just sort of left out there on his own. And I mean, you look at this, like, the whole undead team are basically just all stacked up together, there's not a lot I can really do against that. Except try to stall it, and yeah, okay, I go for this blitz, I guess, maybe, because it's a problem that sending another guy around the back who will, as I mentioned, potentially just get left behind. Also going for it and sending Vampire with a Thrall, but it allows me to get a guy with tackle onto a guy with dodge. But of course, like, he's probably just gonna get blocked away next turn, so the tackle won't affect Yates dodging away. Incidentally, Yates spelled wrong. Because you see, Yates, obviously, in most instances, Yates would be spelled as Shishnapni has spelled it on that ghoul. But in the case of the famous poet, Yates was spelled like Keats, but with a Y instead of a K. So I can feel superior on that point, at least. I know how to spell the names of one of his players better than he does. So I have to just try and reform my defences in front of the cage. So Conrad, as I mentioned, kind of stuck. I could really do with having him at the front. And because I mean, he has Frenzy, which can be quite useful for breaking into cages, so long as he's not running into too many assists, which of course could be a problem, because it's a very tight cage, well formed. This one dice block does nothing. In fact, it kind of makes his cage more solid than it was. I suppose it gets Sam out of the mummy's tackle zone, so he can move without dodging. I mean, like, even if Cat didn't fall over, that was not looking great. But now it's probably even worse, because the cage just comes over, as I look at it, down and left. Yep, like I said, some of it just gets blocked away. Yeah, see that guard. I think by the time I play him the second time, he has like 6 players with guard. Might be only 5. But it's scary, is my point. It's difficult to win a fight against this team. And yeah, I remember this, where he... maybe it's not this that I remember. Maybe it's later. Well, no, it might be this. Where he's got like his entire team all blocked up, surrounding his ball carrier, and how do I get into that? Like, I'm not saying it's impossible. But it's very problematic, to say the least. And it's made more problematic by the fact that I've lost 3 players already. Yes, 3. Whereas he still has his full complement of 11. I mean, I could certainly just try to stall a bit more. Chances would be awful. That's very nice. Like I said, 2 dice, opponent's choice, blocks, they can work. Especially when you have block and they don't. But, again, Armour 9 did break it. I mean, the odds of breaking Armour 9, I think it's 1 in 6. So you need to roll 10, 11 or 12. Yeah, that's 1 in 6. Now, I suppose, yes, Stephen North has a line to blitz the ball carrier, but it would probably be 2 dice opponent's choice, because I think Pushkin has guard. Oh, Pushkin's not in a tackle zone, so it doesn't matter if he has guard or not. And yeah, I'm pretty sure I was basically looking at this and thinking, well, like I was kind of saying, what can I do? I mean, here that could work. Blitzing the money, but assists on both sides. I mean, here, the fact that I probably want to do something like that because I want to get Sir Conrad back around to in front of the enemy team, where he's more used to the defense. But it's probably better to move him rather than blitzing, because I mean, actually, with how tight this cage is, with how tight this cage is, the fact that Sir Conrad has Frenzy is kind of a disadvantage, because it means that if I blitz and don't knock my opponent over with the first hit, then the second will probably be unfavourable, because I'll be running into like 2 or 3 assists. Really? I just left him there? Oh. Like, I don't get that. I thought by this point I'd realised my mistake, but apparently not. Thinking about it now, probably before actually starting to make this video, I should have actually looked up what I had to say about the game in the thread afterwards, because I feel like I had something to say about leaving Sir Conrad back behind the action, although actually I may not have said that in thread. I might have just said it to Tazaroth in person, I don't know, or just to myself. I definitely said it. And yeah, now look at this. I mean, if I'm willing to risk the blood lost, then actually Sir Conrad has some potentially decent blitzes. At least one potentially decent blitz. He could blitz Byron. Yeah, he could still blitz Byron without running into assists. Of course, at that point he will still be behind the enemy lines, running to catch up with them, and I need to try and get the rest of my team across the pitch into a defensive position, and I'm focusing too much on hitting the mummy. It might be better to just take the dodges. As it is, like, what am I going to get in front of this cage? 3 players. That's not going to stop much. 5 players would have been better. 6 if I'd moved Sir Conrad back to join the others would have been better. I will have been getting really frustrated by my inability to take decent blocks at this point. Yeah. Because Richard Dauntless is probably my best throw at this point. I don't really want to have to bite him, and obviously biting him would have left me with basically no defense, but then I failed at going for it. It's required to blitz. It's Conrad standing there doing nothing. Yeah, I suppose, like, I could say that I've had some bad luck in the injuries I've suffered. But, I mean, if I'd kind of played a tighter game defensively, then I could possibly still handled that, and in fact I might not have suffered as many, because well, I mean, like, that, obviously, that last turn would have gone better for me if Sir Mervyn could have made that blitz. And the thing is, if I played a tighter defensive game, yes, think of me smartly choosing not to be wrestled to the ground by the thrall. If I played a tighter defensive game, then I quite possibly wouldn't have. Quite possibly, Sir Mervyn wouldn't have been so out of position, so he might not have needed going for it to blitz the front of the cage. At this point, if I want to prevent the touchdown, I have to start making desperation plays, really. Yeah, like, there's no other way of putting it, to be honest. And of course, desperation plays are highly unlikely to work. Otherwise, they wouldn't be desperation plays. If they were likely to work, I'd do them under normal circumstances. So naturally, he will choose to be pushed, not knocked down. I'll just use a reroll on that. Not entirely sure what I was hoping to achieve by that. I'm just, like, really keen to try and hurt a mummy. I mean, like, I suppose it's a little bit valid. Certainly, if I could get rid of one of the mummies, it would make everything else much easier. But that's not necessarily the best way of looking at it. You don't necessarily target the players who cause you the most problems, because one of the reasons they cause you the most problems is because they are more difficult to deal with. Oh right, yeah, I wanted to hypnotise this mummy so Sir Conrad could just run past him, and it didn't work, which means my desperation play is more desperate than it would otherwise be. Yeah, I suppose like, if I had actually successfully hypnotised that mummy, then I could run in and try to hypnotise E. Brownie with greater ease, and then send Sir Mervyn in to blitz Yates. That, I think, was the plan. And of course, Shishnavi is smart enough to just cage up next to the end zone rather than score right now, so that I will not have 2 turns in which to score back on it. There's not a lot to say about this. I'm going to make another desperation play in the next turn. I would have followed that up. I suppose he wants to cover some other players, but in terms of keeping Matthew Baker away from the cage following up, more issues. Yeah. What can I do? I can do that. I don't know if it's a good idea. Apparently I want to do that. Maybe that wasn't even supposed to help me. Maybe that was just... I figured it would have more chance of working than the desperation thing about to do. Yeah. And I fell the easiest part of it. Somewhat ironic, of course, that Yeats, the poet, is the one who wrote what's called The Second Coming, which has the famous line, "Things fall apart, the centre cannot hold." Now you look at this undead cage, and it has not fallen apart, and the centre has held incredibly well. Three pushes. Nice bits there. I mean, that was kind of risky on his part, potentially, because what if he rolled all skulls somewhere? I suppose he had rerolls. My guys don't even make one. Oh, one from the flakes up. Get Richard Dauntless back, that's obviously helpful from the point of view of scoring, and because there is one more turn before the end of the half, we will have another opportunity for people to wake up at the actual half time. So that will give me another chance to get my players back, particularly Sir Roderick. I don't really care about the thrall except in its numbers on the pitch. And at least at this point I can try to kick some zombies in the face. So obviously set up for said kicking of zombies in the face. Including, of course, providing handy thralls to be bitten by the vampires. I'm trying to figure out, I guess I want to send some Mervyn after one of the ghouls, and I'm trying to figure out which is the best target. Maybe. Oh, the pouring rain. Because things were difficult enough for me already. Doesn't matter for this time. Well, no, it's not going to do you any favours. It's not going to do me any favours either, and you're winning. And of course, making those classic vampire plays that do more damage to my team than to the enemy team. Gotta love those. Finally, an injury. Minus one movement on that ghoul. And of course the ghouls don't regenerate. I'm not entirely sure why, but they don't. They also have the lowest armour on the team. I felt it was only for a start player point anyway. Yes. It doesn't sting that much, as I recall. Still don't get that one. Must be said, given the composition of the Poets Society, specifically the names of the players, there's a part of me that's tempted to just start quoting. I mean, I already brought up Things Fall Apart, Set to Count Hold, which actually can be used to describe GitP Blood Bowl. Of course, there's other stuff. I know for a fact that I can quote. I might stand a decent chance of quoting Shakespeare more or less continually until the end of this video if I really wanted to. Well, if I really wanted to, like, I could just reach over to my bookshelf and grab a copy of a Shakespeare play and read it. But I mean, even from memory, I can remember a decent amount of Shakespeare, a certain amount of Marlowe, and a little Byron. I'm not actually going to do that, just so we're clear, but that shouldn't be a difficult decision. Block and guard. I mean, block, if you replace the ghoul, you can easily get block back. But guard? I mean, the changing weather from pouring rain to pouring rain. Yeah. Like, the way he plays this team, it runs on guard to a fairly significant extent. And you need a double to get that on a ghoul. And of course the fact that it's a ghoul means it starts with dodge, so you have that easy blodge guard combo, which is pretty amazing. I have to remember that the next time Sir Jasper Murgatroyd levels up, I give him guard, and he already has blodge, and his strength 4, of course. And he proceeds to seriously annoy a lot of enemy teams that I end up facing. Now, yeah, see, this is the thing. This is kind of something that I was mentioning before. The mummies obviously are the most troublesome players to me, but that doesn't mean I target them, because they're not easy targets. The ghouls, like, so long as I use Sir Mervyn, who has tackle, well, like, maybe the zombies who don't have block are easier targets in terms of knocking them over in the first place. But, well, the ghouls are at a nice balance of being good targets, because if I use Sir Mervyn, he has tackle, I still stand a decent chance of knocking them over, and once I have knocked them over, they have armor 7 and no regeneration, so I'm that much more likely to remove them from the pitch permanently, or at least for the rest of the game. But they are also very useful to him because they are his highest movement players. So they are likely to be the ones wanting to pick up the ball and score for him. That blitz opens up a line of him to just ruin the guy's straight to my ball carrier, yeah. May not have fully thought that through. It shouldn't necessarily be a huge problem, but, well, when it's two guys, then it starts to be more of a problem. And the obvious guy to run back and blitz one of them was probably Matthew Baker, who's now marked by a mummy. And suddenly these undead guys are all encroaching on my space. So it's looking a bit difficult for me to get set up safely. I'm going to take the risk of committing violence before making the ball safe, which, well, it's a serious risk. I don't think committing that violence really helped me to make the ball safe. Maybe it did. I suppose it's freed up the square Sir Conrad was standing in, so Sir Jasper could dodge out that way and come down towards the guys marking my ball carrier. That's certainly an option that's available to me. But I suppose also the other aspect of this is that, like I said, the way things are, it's going to be very difficult for me to get the ball to safety, like to complete safety. So I kind of have to trust to luck a bit. Made the go for it. Now I'll have to let him wrestle me to the ground. Which is unfortunate, because I probably would have preferred to just push him. As then, obviously, I probably would have pushed him diagonally downright and followed up, and then Rich Dauntless could dodge out as he's about to, and then instead of just going straight up a square, he could go through the square, which, as it stands, is occupied by Sir Mervyn, and then up to stand behind Sir Conrad. Obviously this is moot because I failed the dodge, and am therefore probably screwed. I mean, I don't know, certainly some bad luck on my part, but for all that I talked up, the sort of smartness of my decision to target the ghouls, and I mean, it's true, targeting the ghouls is a good idea in general. Keeping guys back to be more sure of the security of the ball carrier might be a better idea. I don't care about that now. That's something at least. Marlowe there was marked up by two thralls, neither of whom have any skills, which means that Marlowe is probably out of it for a while. Shakespeare, on the other hand, is very close to the ball carrier. Arms going to get pushed out the sidelines, probably. Because, I mean, obviously, I can dodge away from there, and if I get a chance, I will try to do so. The question is whether I get that chance, because with the ball being where it is, getting a skillless thrall off the sidelines is a much lower priority than trying to retrieve the ball. Because obviously there I really wanted a push, so Zimmerman could stand up, run in, blitz our Browning. He, in theory, still could, but it would involve dodging to one tackle zone, which would require a roll of 3, and then dodging into 2 tackle zones, requiring a roll of 4. I do have a team reroll, but odds still not particularly in favour. Possibly should have pushed him the other way. Well, I suppose it's the debate of whether I want to move Sir Conrad back down towards the ball carrier, or if I want to move the enemy players away, and in fact I probably want the latter. So yeah, and of course something else has to go wrong. This is horrific. I'm going to have to bite Richard Dauntless, assuming this works. Which it does. I can't follow up, because then I will be unable to bite a thrall. But now I have to make sure that the ball carrier will still be marked, so I have to make this gun for it as well. And for some reason it deselects the player. I find that very annoying. Oh, okay, I disagree with myself doing that. I think. Like, our Browning is just gonna pitch unchecked with the ball. I hate my dice. Yes. The familiar lament of the vampire coach who is eating his own team. His position, I would have considered just taking those 2 gun crits to score this turn. Not give me any chance to make any sort of crazy play. I mean, you know, he has 3 rerolls for his remaining 5 turns. Well, 6 including this one. Yeah, and this is where it's all gone wrong for me. So obviously, the first half was pretty bad for me, but it could have worked out alright, because even after all that stuff went wrong, I could have still at least gotten a 1-1 draw. It didn't seem particularly likely that I could score twice in the second half, since for the second one I'd have to take the ball away from him, but 1-1 draw would have been certainly feasible. And that would have been something. But alas, it was not to be. And so all I can really hope for is to make sure he scores quickly and then try to get a consolation touchdown for a 2-1 loss. Oh, I mean, I can make desperation plays, and sometimes those do work, because sometimes the dice and the almighty Nuffle don't hate you. Oh, yes, of course. The point is not to blitz Shakespeare, it's to hypnotise him. Yes, and yes, Shishnavni is, I would say, correct there. Because vampires, thanks to bloodlust and the attendant injury rolls, have to roll more dice than other teams. They kind of have a worse time if the dice are against them. Of course, I failed that dodge. At this point, earlier I will certainly admit that I made mistakes. At this point, I think I can reasonably just say that the dice kill me. Because, I mean, the thing is, honestly there I was probably going, oh, that's how he got that niggling injury. I was probably going to be attempting an improbable play, or, well, not necessarily, because as you see there, I'd hit the blitz button, so it was definitely a blitz, but I didn't have to decide the precise nature of who I was blitzing right off the bat. So I was going to run next to Wandle, I was going to run next to Wordsworth, and then decide whether to blitz Wordsworth or attempt the dodge into 2 tackle zones to blitz R. Browning? I think it's R. Browning. That's the ball. And obviously, blitzing Wordsworth would have been pretty likely to work, but then probably R. Browning would still have just made the dodge into the end zone. Whereas the dodge into 2 tackle zones would be fairly probable, but would actually stop a touchdown. But the thing is, I never even got that far, because I failed the thing which required me to roll a 2+. Well, I failed Bloodlust, which required me to roll 2 plus. Rerolled that, and then failed Dodge, which required me to roll a 2 plus. All I wanted to do was stand up and hypnotise a mummy, because why not? See, this is me making decent use of hypnotic gaze. Unfortunately, it may be considered a bit late, but it is decent use of hypnotic gaze. And yeah, see, because Shakespeare is hypnotized, this is 2 dice, unfortunately. I still only get a block, and I should have had Sullivan hypnotise Wordsworth already. And yeah, because I didn't really expect to actually prevent the touchdown, I wasn't Rerolling dodge there. I suppose I could have. Like I said, I would have made that blitz, maybe knocked him over, and then followed up, assuming I didn't fail going for it somewhere along the way. And then our Browning would have just dodged into the end zone rather than walking into the end zone. What really matters is that he scored there, so I have... I wasn't paying attention to the turn counter, but I have either 2 or 3 turns in which to get my consolation touchdown. Is it Roderick? Still just sleeping. Lazy sod. I still want to quote things. I'm trying to... I'm pretty sure that there's no respect in which I can make Macbeth relevant to Blood Bowl. Well, I suppose if I were playing against Wood Elves or Halflings, then the bit about dancing in wood, turning up with tree men, that could be considered relevant. Oh, bloodlust. But in general, And I mean, that wasn't the bit of Macbeth that I was thinking of. In any case, why would I move Sam? No, take the block. Take the block, you fool! Oh, I'm wanting to go for Wordsworth first. Because that romantic poetry just doesn't sit well with my vampires. Well, I mean, you know, Ruddigore was a parody of... Oh, the bloodlust. Ruddigore was a parody of kind of gothic horror and stuff. Maurice Waters proving his worth as a snack. Which is, of course, what he was there for. Yes, Ruddigore was a parody of kind of gothic horror. And I suppose one could possibly draw links between the gothic style and romantic poetry. I don't know. I haven't studied English literature in the past. Dear Lord, 8 years. Maybe I should talk about the game. I know how that works. So I don't think I've got Richard Dauntless actually in most of a cage here, so he can't just run two guys straight up to him. And I mean, other than that Mahami standing in front of Sir Conrad, it's looking pretty safe. I suppose, yeah, he can blitz Morris and then move. Oh yeah, you need an assist. Don't have the assist. And see, I would have made them going for it there to stand next to Richard Dauntless. That would have been a serious threat. Also, there is a serious mistake that he's made here. Okay, that was a slight risk on my part, but see, the mistake that he has made is that he's moved all his guys forwards. I suppose, like, it's not... It would be a mistake if he wasn't already guaranteed the win. As it is, it's not such a big deal, but still, like, if he wanted to stop me scoring, he's moved all his guys forwards so that I can just run around, hand off the ball to Sam, and run way into the backfield. And yeah, see, Wordsworth, in theory, could catch up with going forwards, and that's it. None of his other players can. I mean, like, that's the thing. I imagine if he wasn't already 2-0 up, and therefore guaranteed the win at this point, he probably would have been more cautious. Certainly, had I been in his position, that would be a distinction where I will sometimes be more sort of recklessly over-aggressive if I'm already, like, if I've already pretty much definitely won the match. And I'm just trying to get more touchdowns out of it, because it doesn't matter if stuff goes wrong. On the other hand, you still want to, if you're trying to get extra touchdowns, you want to maximise your chances of actually getting the ball. And he's not even going to go for the ball carrier with Wordsworth, it looks like, because he's put Keats in the way, I think. Well, it's not possible to get to him. Oh, right. No, that was Marlon's comment. I thought, yeah, Shakespeare was on the floor. Yeah, he's not even going to go for the ball carrier. I mean, maybe he was being nice to me and figuring, you can have that touchdown. No, see, he's going to... no, I don't get this. Okay, he does make the going for it to mark the defense. That's the second one. But I would have tried for the one dice blitz. Well, I would have either figured, there, he'd have the touchdown, or tried for the one dice blitz in hopes of getting a third touchdown myself in his position. He went for the middle ground of blitz someone else, but mark the guy. Wasn't really likely to work out so well. So this... Now we have a final turn in which he will try to get some extra star player points, so really, who cares? I could quote some stuff for you. Quote some Macbeth. Some irrelevant Macbeth. I don't know why I'm so keen to quote stuff. Well, I mean, because I like doing so, but I don't know why this specific one. Yes, Sir Roderick really should have been back by now. He's failed to wake up 4 times. Yeah, 50-50 chance. You'd think 4 attempts you'd get it once. Nope. Some ridiculous luck. And yeah, I'm sure we will make use of our ability to freely foul in the one turn that he has and the none that I have left in the game. Suppose, talking about improbable things in this game, your luck not going the way it necessarily should have. Maybe I could draw that as the connection to the Macbeth quote. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage and is heard no more. It's a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Actually, yes, sound and fury signifying nothing sounds a lot like Blood Bowl. I don't know why it took me so long to make that connection. No star player points for you. No star player points for you. And so society remained at the top of the table. had, I think, my second loss of the season. I previously lost to the big friendly giants. That was it. Chaos Dwarves. My fan factor went down. It was terrible. It was the worst game ever. Certainly a well-played game by Shishnafni, and I obviously was looking forward to our next meeting, which will be in a couple of videos' time. And I'll see you for the next one.